Unstable flowers, unstable hearts. The flowers grow wild, unknowing. They vibrate with the winds, feed off the nutrients that are embedded within the grounds. They bloom. The warmth of the sun invites them into existence. They are hops. Their life is not meant to be a long one, as their presence is meant for a repurpose. They are harvested. Man takes them into their hands and claims ownership. The flowers journey into a brewery, their bitterness meant to warm bellies. They've been crushed into a new substance, a liquid gold that bubbles and brews. It's been packaged into a lifeless aluminum can, or elongated bell glass bottles that are meant to reach the lips of their willing customers. They've been shipped off, unrecognizable from its previous appearance. It's a new creation, an unnatural one, cold in its container, waiting for its customer. Papa reaches into a cooler at the convenience store. He spots the cold, lifeless drink that he has been craving. His addiction is mindless. It runs on autopilot and reminds him that he needs another, one more drink to numb the disappointment. He goes up to the register and pays, money he's dripped sweat for. Money he's earned sweeping the floors of a scholarly institution, a position he obtained out of necessity rather than desire. He grabs his drink, his numbing medicine to help cool his hot blood. Papa's pride is wild and bruised. No longer is he a carefree young boy that farms with his brothers. No longer does he help herd sheep that roam free on his father's land. No longer does he gather eggs from the chickens or sprinkle feed for the roosters. The chickens, my father once told me, were being threatened by possums that invaded their coops. Every time he'd make the trip to gather the eggs, the nests were empty. And he knew it was the possums that had raided the area. One afternoon, my father and his brother saw a possum sneak under the chicken coop. My uncle decided to let a rooster fight the possum, to force a rooster under the coop. They heard noisy cawing and growling, then silence. They peeked underneath to find that the possum had conquered the rooster. The horses my father rode as a young boy were strong like bulls. They'd gallop across the lands. Before the sun was up, my father would wake and find his horse, a brown beauty, one of the oldest. She'd been with the family many years and was almost given away. But my father pleaded with his father to keep the horse. Some days he'd ride her past the grounds of the farmland. He would explore beyond the trail and into the wild. He'd wander off until he no longer knew where he was. But he was not afraid, he'd tell me. He had faith in the horse's instinct. "Take me home," he'd say to his faithful horse, and she always knew her way. My father loved this horse. Even though she wasn't as fast as the others and could no longer help with farm work, she was so patient with him, so intuitive to his curious nature. Papa was no longer that curious boy. His wandering spirit diminished, and in its place lay a complacent man with still water will. The currents that once ran rapid, with exuberance for life, were now motionless. Somewhere along the way, Papa lost that young boy. He once hoped for a farm just like his father's, but he gave up on that dream. He joined the ranks of the Marines. He felt the call for duty, the call to defend his country. It was there where he learned the hard truths of war, the cold-hearted nature of its call. It is here, I believe, where that young boy's spirit may have been squandered. Now, older, he looks to the golden nectar for some sort of relief. Papa holds the beer in his hand. He sips, and dewdrops glisten off his mustache. He sips, 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 drinks, drinks, drinks. This is his routine. One night, Papa feels tightening in his chest, a foreign feeling, a sensation that trickled to the rest of his body. He never felt anything like this before. It was pain that he did not know. He called out to my mama. He knew at that moment what it was. His heart was failing him. weakened by its repetitive, strenuous routine. He collapsed. Mama called for help. A week passed, and Papa was still in the hospital. He had survived a heart attack. Each of us in the family took turns staying with him. While I was with him, he looked to me and asked, "I don't know what I'm going to do." "What do you mean?" I asked. "How am I going to give up drinking? One day at a time." What if I can't?" "You have to." I could see it in his face. That scared young boy that wasn't sure what would become of his future. He had never been through this part of the wilderness before. He never explored this side of the darkness. "You'll be okay. I'll be here to help you," I told him. He fought to find his way, to find a new way to live. He found purpose through his faith, sought the help of his community, his church. Papa struggles, but has not touched a single drop since his heart attack. He says that his faith strengthens him, fortifies his purpose, and implores him to share his experience with others. For some don't get to share that same fortitude, that redemption. They are never given that chance.